Welcome to HDIN Research's strategic briefing on the global crop protection market for 2026. Today, we examine an industry undergoing profound structural transformation. We will explore how the sector is balancing traditional chemical foundations with a rapid pivot toward biological innovation and digital sovereignty in an increasingly complex global landscape. The market remains a pillar of global food security. However, we are at a crossroads. While demand in Asia and Latin America remains robust, regulatory and geopolitical complications are forcing a total rethink of supply chain optimization. Our resolution points to a future of integrated solutions where seeds, traits, and digital tools converge. Looking at the numbers, we project the market to grow from $79.1 billion in 2024 to over $118 billion by 2031. This 6% CAGR is supported by the fundamental need to close the protection gap. Without these technologies, global crop losses could exceed 50%. The value is visibly shifting from volume to high-margin technicals. Regionally, the Asia-Pacific region continues to lead as a global supply hub, followed by Latin America's role as a value growth engine. Demand is anchored by record-breaking crop targets. With corn and soybean production hitting peak levels in the Americas, the intensity of crop protection application remains high. The correlation between high-value yields and technology adoption has never been stronger. Regulation is the primary catalyst for change. The EU's farm-to-fork strategy is mandating a significant reduction in chemical use. This creates a vacuum that only high-tier biologicals and precision application technologies can fill, effectively raising the entry barrier for players with limited R&D scale. Geopolitically, we see a shift toward de-risking. The China Plus One strategy is no longer a theory. It is an operational reality. Governments are incentivizing domestic manufacturing to ensure supply resilience, moving away from a model based solely on the lowest cost of production. To understand the current pricing environment, we must look at the inventory cycle. After the panic stocking of the pandemic years and the aggressive destocking of 2024, we are entering a phase of stabilization. 2026 marks the return to demand-supply equilibrium. This leads us to our core strategic question. In an era of Innovation 4.0, how can leaders maintain asset intensity while remaining agile enough to pivot toward new technologies? This is the central challenge for the current decade. The industry remains consolidated. Tier 1 giants control over 70% of the market through R&D dominance. However, Tier 2 and Tier 3 players in India and China are evolving, shifting from simple generics to specialized manufacturing and CDMO roles. Benchmarking the leaders, Syngenta remains the volume frontrunner, while Bayer and Corteva lead in integrated seed and trait strategies. These companies are successfully transitioning their portfolios toward proprietary, high-margin molecules. In the middle tiers, the focus has shifted to generic professionalism. It is no longer about price alone. It is about formulation innovation. We see Indian and Chinese manufacturers becoming preferred R&D partners for the global giants. A significant trend is the asset-light model. Leading firms are divesting heavy manufacturing to invest in registration portfolios. In today's market, a global registration certificate is often more valuable than the physical factory that produces the chemical. Conversely, those who stay in manufacturing are moving toward deep, backward integration. Controlling the chain from precursors to active ingredients is the only way to hedge against raw material price shocks and ensure margin stability. Innovation 4.0 represents the convergence of biotechnology and information technology. CRISPR-edited microbes and AI-driven prescription spraying are no longer futuristic concepts. They are becoming standard operational requirements. Biologicals are the fastest-growing segment, projected to reach nearly $29 billion by 2028. Their main advantage is the zero-day pre-harvest interval, allowing for application right up to harvest without residue risks. The path to green implementation follows 3 layers: inducing plant immunity, using nanoformulations for stability, and creating synergistic tank mixes that allow biologicals to work alongside traditional chemistry. On the hardware side, UAVs or drones are revolutionizing application. By flying just above the canopy, they can reduce input costs by 20% and significantly lower the environmental footprint compared to traditional ground equipment. AI is the new brain of the industry. From predicting pest outbreaks to accelerating molecular discovery by 40%, digital platforms are shifting the business model from selling, quote, product to selling, quote, yield outcomes. By 2030, we expect up to 30% of revenue for top players to come from service-based models. Digital platforms are also flattening the distribution chain, allowing for more direct engagement with the end user. While technological and social drivers are positive, political trade frictions and strict legal compliance requirements remain the primary risks to global expansion. From a competitive standpoint, internal rivalry is high, and supplier power remains significant due to the concentration of technical manufacturing. However, the high cost of R&D continues to keep the threat of new entrants low. In conclusion, the 2026 roadmap requires three things: aggressive global registration, hybrid portfolios, and supply chain resilience. The winners will be those who can integrate digital precision with biological efficacy. Thank you for your attention. For more detailed market research or customized consulting, please reach out to HDIN Research at sales@hdinresearch.com. We now open the floor for any questions.